Sasquatch, the moon landing, UFOs, 9/11, flat earth, JFK. All of these things have one thing in common: unanswered questions. So let's get to the bottom of that. Three strong men from the East rise from the ashes of censorship and cancel culture. From the strange and twisted mind of Mike.
Probably the best evidence for lizard people that I've seen is the CEO of Pfizer. His throat literally expands like it's like a frog. Might be reptilian. We're not sure.
From the unscripted and unthoughtful mind of Jason.
The Chinese brought these drones that look like birds to the United States so they can spy on us. Birds aren't real. Change my mind. Alex Jones said it. It's a fact.
Also from the mind that is on the edge of the lunatic fringe and reaches far into a bottomless void of nothingness. Byron Dice. Listen, if the moon landing was real, how come we haven't been back since then? And why was all the data scrubbed and destroyed? You know what I'm talking about? It's just weird. Wait, what if it was real and there's a moon base up there we don't even know about? That would explain Roswell. Dice Man Enterprises exclusively presents a talk show that will get to the bottom of things once and for all. And now here's your host for Let's Get to the Bottom of That. Three weirdos on a mic. Go! Three weirdos on a mic. I'm Byron Dice. Welcome back to Let's Get to the Bottom of That. Jason and Mike are in studio at the undisclosed location. What's up, fellas?
What's up? How's it going?
Did y'all have a good week?
I did. How was yours?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. We are smashing it. We just released the Bermuda Triangle and then our Federal Reserve
yep.
just released, getting good feedback. Actually, we'll go, somebody said, this is from Stacy Lynn on Instagram. She said, at bottom of that, y'all keep blowing my mind with this stuff.
Nice.
Okay. Talking about the slavery, economic slaves.
Oh, right.
So, of course, and I just went on Instagram right before we started recording the show to let everybody know that I realized there's a time gap. That was 3 weeks ago when you hear me talk about Stacy Lynn shouting us out. That was 3 weeks ago, but I just went on Instagram just to kind of let everybody know we do have a website, www.bottomofthat.com. Also, I just set us up with an email if you want to contact us, truth@bottomofthat.com, truth@bottomofthat.com. We will get the emails if you want to contact the show. Let us know how stupid we're doing.
That's a great email, though.
Hit us up with the truth.
Yeah, hit us up with the truthers.
Have you guys listened to any of our episodes?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about you? Zero?
Zero.
That's because you're here.
Yes,
you did the episode.
I did the episode. I don't need to know.
You remembered what happened.
Yeah. No, I just don't. I haven't, and I don't think I will.
Oh, you don't think you will? Is it something about your voice?
Yeah, it's like the actor Joaquin Phoenix. He's never seen one of his movies.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
That is a little weird.
He didn't watch Gladiator?
You'd think he'd have to go to the premieres.
You would think, you always see him at the red carpet.
Yeah, he's probably lying, dude.
Yeah. I think Dustin Hoffman does the same thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Are you serious?
And the dude from...
They're just at the premiere with a blindfold and earplugs.
Tom Cruise loves movies. Yeah. Tom
He's
Cruise.
always there.
Good old Tom Cruise.
Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram. You can follow the link that is in the bio and get to all of our social media platforms plus our website as well. And we would love to hear from you. Oh, by the way, and I just shared this on the Instagram. If you go to our website, bottomofthat.com, there's a blog page. That is where all of our resources are going to be, where we cite sources that we do on the show. The blog page, and at the bottom of the blog page, you can leave a comment, and I will get that comment through my email. So that's another way you can keep in touch with us.
What's our episode about today?
Today is a big one, guys, and I don't know if we'll probably get through this. It's about September 11th, 2001, a.k.a. 9/11.
Hashtag never forget.
Hashtag never forget. Hashtag attack on freedom.
Yep.
Hashtag the NSA's watching. You got your camera covered up there?
I do, absolutely.
Thank you, Lord Jesus.
Always.
Well, that's the other thing I want to mention. I have listened to the show, and I just did it, and I heard myself. I'm always going,
That's all right.
So I sound like an idiot.
That's okay.
Help us, Lord.
No, it's all right. We'll get better.
No, you sound good, dude.
Well, I always do that. I think that's something I've heard people talk about. That's you're trying to think of what the next thing is going on.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this, guys. 9/11. We're going to talk about a kind of an overview of what happened on that day. We are completely respectful for the people that lost their lives that day and the people that lost their lives after that, because there was a lot of stuff that happened after 9/11 where people lost their lives because of the event. So we are respectful. Never forget those people that lost their lives that day. What we're doing is basically telling the story, the official story, and then talking about what we think is not absolutely, I don't want to say it's not the truth. It's just something's off with the official story.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't make sense. We're not saying we're right, somebody's wrong. We're just saying, hey, what you're saying is not completely looking like the truth.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
That's what we're saying. And that's why this show is called Let's Get to the Bottom of That, because we have questions.
Yeah.
And as our, is it First Amendment?
Yeah.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, of course.
I always
yeah.
get that wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, First Amendment, is that the freedom of press too?
No.
I can't remember.
It's definitely freedom of
Anyway,
speech.
we are all journalists here
speech.
because we have everybody has a freedom of press.
Yeah.
So we can take this information and give it to the public
Yep.
if we want to. Freedom of speech, freedom of press.
Unless it's on YouTube, and then they'll censor
Right.
you.
Then you're censored,
Yeah.
like we have been. Oh, by the way, our YouTube is up. Again, our 7-day strike is over. The Federal Reserve is up on YouTube, and we are getting some views over there. Not as many as our podcast, but nonetheless, it's still there.
Yep. And the First Amendment does explicitly mention press, too.
Thank you. Freedom of press,
There we go.
So you were right
freedom
on
of
it.
speech. That's what we're doing here.
Yep.
You can't do this in China, folks.
No, you can't.
You can't. I don't think you can sit around at a kitchen and talk on a mic like this and disseminate it to the public, right?
No, you'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
Monitored
Plus the
by
birds
drones.
over there.
Yeah, monitored by the drones.
I'll guarantee you the birds that they have would probably like a drone strike into your kitchen through the window.
No, there's an article. I don't know the authenticity of it, but there's an article saying that they have drones because China's still in lockdown, and so with the pandemic.
What?
So, yeah. So they parts of China are still in lockdown.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're flying drones outside people's homes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, where they're basically like, why aren't you in your house?
Yeah.
The drones can like talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Skynet?
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it plausible?
from the cabinet.
Yeah. Is it plausible they made one look like a drone or like a bird?
It is very plausible.
Just saying.
All right, folks. 9/11/2001. Let's talk about this. 4 airplanes were hijacked by 19 terrorists. Okay, let's just go through the timeline. American Airline Flight 11 flew into the North Tower at 8:46. And you guys chime in on anything that I'm going over if you got additional information.
Okay.
United Airline Flight 175 flew into the South Tower at 9:30. American Airline Flight 77 flew into the Pentagon at 9:37. The United Air Flight 93 crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. Now, since that timeline, there's the timeline for the crashes. The South Tower collapsed first. It was the second one hit. It collapsed at 9:59 a.m. North Tower collapsed at 10:27 a.m. World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed at a weird 5:20 p.m. in the afternoon, almost in the evening. That's weird. We're going to talk about that. Why was it so late? Now, here's the sad part. 2,996 people died in the attack on 9/11.
I didn't know it was that high.
Yep.
232 passengers, 33 crew members, 19 hijackers, 2,606 civilians in the World Trade Center, and 125 in the Pentagon.
That's crazy. I didn't know.
So
that.
there's our death toll. That's the
high.
people. Yeah, it is. It's horrible. Do you got anything to add to those timelines there?
So one small thing about the timeline for United Airlines Flight 175, 9:03 a.m. is when that crashed into the South Tower, not 9:30.
Yes, right. 9:03.
Oh, thank you. I don't know where I got that.
Yep.
I got that from a
Just a 0 and 3 probably mixed up.
Oh, probably you're right. Thank you so much.
Yep.
That's why you're here.
Thanks, Mike.
No other reason.
Yep.
God bless.
9:03.
9:03.
Change that. Hey, I'm glad somebody's here taking notes. Let's go over the official story, and I'm getting this from I got this from the 9/11 Commission. So here's the official story, and I'm going to read the official story, and then we're going to go over some highlighted words in the official story and just talk about why these things don't seem to make sense in the official story.
Let's do it.
So why would you tell me this when this is what I see from what you just said? So official story, 19 hijackers directed by Osama Bin Laden took over 4 commercial jets with box cutters, and while evading the air defense system, NORAD, hit 75% of their targets. In turn, World Trade Center 1 and 2 and 7 collapsed due to structural failure through fire in a, quote, pancake, end quote, fashion, while the plane that hit the Pentagon vaporized upon impact, as did the plane that crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The 9/11 Commission found that there were no warnings for this act of terrorism, while multiple government failures prevented an adequate defense. That is the official story. Is anybody else got anything other the official story to add to that story that wasn't covered?
I mean, just
is that the official? Is that the overhead?
Yep. Yeah. Maybe just drilling in a little bit more detail to like the official story of like the collapses specifically. What the National Institute of Standards and Technology, like NIST, published as part of their findings of their investigation. They basically said they determined that fires were the main cause of the collapses, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And they found that the sagging floors pulled inward on the perimeter columns, causing them to then bow and then buckle. And once the upper section of the building began to move downwards, the total progressive collapse was unavoidable. That's what they said.
Okay.
So like a pile driver is what they're talking about.
So one floor on another,
Yeah.
got too heavy for the other floors to hold them.
Yes. So yeah, the top part of the building basically just continued moving down, crushing down the bottom part of the building as it progressed its way down. That's what they said.
Oh, gotcha. So you had this huge section that was not really the top, but where it started failing structurally was somewhere in up the upper, but there was this huge chunk of building
Above
that
it.
just
Yep.
like this huge chunk of it just kept.
Yep. So on the north tower, there was only 11 floors above the impact zone. And on the south tower, there was 25 above the impact zone.
25.
So south tower is a little bit lower down on the tower. So that would, compromise structural integrity a bit more. It has more weight on the impacted zone.
And what they're saying is the collapse was where the airplane went into the building. That's where the structure failed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So everything above where the plane hit was too heavy
Right.
to hold up the rest of the building, so it did a free fall.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's go over first thing in the official story, which I just read, was no warnings.
Right.
Okay.
Red flag.
And you guys chime in on any of these bullet points if you have anything to add to no warnings. So no warnings. Multiple elected officials in position at this time stated that there were no warnings. So this no warnings came out of people's mouths.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Officials.
Mm-hmm.
The cover of FEMA response manual, there was a response manual from FEMA, 1997. Had a picture of the Twin Towers with a target on it.
Very interesting.
What?
Do you think it's
Why would y'all have this?
From the 1993 attack?
right? There, say just because of the bombing, 1993.
Yeah, and we can talk about that too, about why that didn't work. So there was a Twin Tower on the cover. So no warning here.
Yeah.
Okay. USA Today reported that in the 2 years prior to the 9/11 attack, NORAD conducted exercises using hijacked airliners as weapons and the Twin Towers as their targets. No warnings.
No warnings.
Yep.
Operation Moscow. You heard of that?
I have.
Okay. Yeah. October 2000. Simulated a plane crash into the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
No warning.
Very interesting.
No warning here, folks.
Yep.
Okay. New York Times reported that the FBI knew for several years that Osama bin Laden and his terrorist network were training pilots in the United States and did not share this with other agencies or the public.
Right.
What? There's no warning.
Still no warning.
Isn't that a warning sign?
Sounds like a warning sign.
Okay. Secret intel unit named Able Danger. You heard of that?
I haven't heard of Able Danger, no.
There's an intel unit called Able Danger. It was identified as a terrorist cell in Brooklyn. Or excuse me, the unit Able Danger actually identified a terrorist cell in Brooklyn, New York, more than a year before 9/11. Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer was one of the individuals who identified the cells and was instructed in writing by the Defense Intelligence Agency that he could not speak to Congress or their staff without prior approval.
Interesting.
No warnings.
No warnings.
So at least 12 countries outside, this is not United States, warned the U.S. regarding intelligence about an imminent attack on America.
They knew. They knew.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They knew.
So I just wanted to shed light on the official story where they said there was no warnings.
Oh, Bin Laden, he was
In a cave?
he was on the terrorist watch list for years prior to 9/11. So what do you mean no warnings? What does that even mean? No warnings?
I
Of
don't know.
course there's warnings. They had him on a watch list.
Yeah.
Right. So look, you can write your official story, but some of these things that I'm going to highlight, why put that in your official story?
Good
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Why say no warnings?
Why say no warnings? Because you're trying to go,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yep. And as we now know, like we've all done research and we've all found basically that there was plenty of warnings, right? The FBI had informants that were basically working and living with some of the people that ended up being the perpetrators of 9/11.
That's right.
Yep.
That is a fact.
It is.
That
Yeah.
an informant was living with one of these guys.
Yep.
Yeah, the Hani Hanjour, the pilot of the Boeing 757 that ended up crashing into the Pentagon, he was actually a roommate of an FBI
Yes.
Yep.
informant. And he basically, gave all the information to the FBI about this guy. They knew everything about him. Everything.
Wow.
And just sat on it.
And just that's the thing that gets me. So if you're going to put no warnings and you know that there are, I mean, do they know where these, so you know about these guys
Yeah, they know
that
who
are
they
in
are.
flight school. You know that they are radical Islamics? Is that part of their profile?
That's like what
Or
they
was
say.
it just another guy? Oh, that's just a guy. He's here on a visa.
No, I read that they lived normal lives. They would go to work. They had jobs at the local gas station. They went to go play. They're in a rec soccer league.
Yeah.
Like they were normal guys. From what I read, that there was no threat at the moment when the informant was with them.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
And they weren't even like Islamic in the sense of like living that lifestyle, because all of them would like drink and like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Go
Okay,
to
so they-
strip clubs and stuff. And
So it didn't look like, a radical Islamic terrorist.
right. Yeah.
So, I mean, is that enough? I mean, so you're in flight school. Is that not a red flag? I don't know. Looking back on it, it seems like it is. But in the moment is it?
right.
Is
You'd
it?
be like,
Since you're going to the club and strip joints,
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
hanging out with Hunter. I don't know if that happened, but
Yep.
seems like the same character. All right, let's talk about the 19 hijackers.
Let's do it.
Okay, that's the next word that I'm going to focus on in the official story. 19 hijackers. Now, this is I'm gonna when I read these, let me know, because the research that I've done. Okay, let me just get through this first bullet point. General Mahmoud Ahmed was the ISI director for Pakistan intelligence. Okay.
Okay. So that's their intelligence service over in Pakistan.
Yep.
Okay.
He was the head. He requested from Omar Saeed Shaikh to wire $100,000 to Mohammed Atta, which Mohammed Atta, they're calling the mastermind.
Right.
of the 9/11 attacks.
Yep.
Omar confirmed he was supported by the ISI, and it was reported that FBI was inquiring about this transaction, but no official inquiry was made as to why General Hotmed ordered $100,000 to be sent to Mohammed Atta. So
Interesting.
that's interesting because they have said since then that in the 9/11 Commission report, that book, they said that this information was not pertinent.
Not important at all.
It had no significant value. Who paid for this? What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
That is highly significant. So, and when I was doing research, I was trying to find out because I got some of this stuff from actual news articles and news reports, and they said later that the FBI actually was trying to get to find out if this happened. So I'm kind of shady on this aspect of this particular wire to Muhammad Atta. It was in the news, but then it was like investigated, and it was kind of like a smoke screen. You really didn't know. Okay, what is it? Did he wire it? Did he not wire it? So that's out there. Okay, so on the morning, no, this is going to blow your mind. On the morning of 9/11, government officials were having breakfast in Washington D.C. with guess who?
No.
General Ahmad, the ISI director from Pakistan.
Weird.
That's just strange.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay.
Do we know
does
where
that does
they're having breakfast? Or is
Well, it just said Washington D.C. It could have been at Starbucks. I don't know.
Was it at the Pentagon?
I don't know where the breakfast was, but it was confirmed that he was having breakfast with government officials, whoever that was.
Whoever that is.
But
Very interesting.
That is strange that you're here on the morning. Okay, that's why I was talking earlier to poke holes and stuff. This is strange, but
weird.
does it mean that there was some kind of conspiracy thing? Right. It's out there.
Yeah, it's very coincidental.
And why don't y'all follow up on this kind of stuff?
I mean, does it mean that there's a shadow government that was plotting and strategically making this to get us overseas to Iraq? Can it be looked that way? Just by these not little, I wouldn't even say little, but these plot holes, these little discrepancies in the stories.
Yeah. Okay, so that's strange that he was here on the morning. I wonder what happened. I would like to hear that story. Like when everything went down, did y'all keep eating, or where did y'all go?
Yeah, where did you go?
If I was a journalist, that's the kind of stuff I would go after.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely an
to get to the
interesting piece
bottom
of
of.
information. Yeah.
All right, so I just talked about the 9/11 Commission deemed that the financing of the attacks was of, quote, little practical significance, end quote. That's in their book. I'm not making that up. Two of the hijackers, you already mentioned, Mike, lived with an FBI informant. It was alleged that some of the hijackers may have trained as pilots on U.S. bases, actual United States military bases. Train, okay?
Very interesting.
David Ray Griffin was the author of The New Pearl Harbor. He stated that evidence was okay. So this guy's out there. If you ever read this book, he's not scared to speak out. He said there actually was evidence planted around this. Like they found the passport of one of the hijackers found blocks away.
Yeah.
In New York City.
Yep.
He's saying that was planted evidence. Okay, because everything was demolished, no bodies. Rubble, everything's to ash, but you got a passport.
Right, doesn't make
Walks
any
away.
sense.
Okay, does that mean there was I don't know, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, just
is that enough? See what I'm saying? Is that enough evidence? It's something to look at and go, "Hey, that's weird."
Just a little sketch.
Why? My thing is, why would you even if you knew that the hijackers got on the plane and you knew who they were, because they know they see them getting on the plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know they're on the plane. Why would you have to put a passport a couple of blocks away to confirm that was the guy on this plane?
Exactly.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's weird, and it's weird that it's perfectly intact when everything else.
Is just vaporized.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use that word, vaporized.
Vaporized. Yeah.
I mean, really?
The plane turned to vapor?
Why would they use that word?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they use that when they go to Shanksville. It vaporized. The Pentagon, they say it vaporized.
It just disappeared.
Like it's some kind of Star Trek thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like an energy beam hit it.
Yeah, like there's not a scrap.
Like
Right.
like there wasn't any scrap
Well, like
metal
I was
from the
gonna-
plane that hit the Pentagon.
Yeah. Like the gigantic jet engines can't find any part of it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Vaporized.
I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird.
But but the passport made it.
Yeah, the passport's just fine.
Passport made it. Okay.
Right.
Nothing to see here, folks. The hijacker. Oh, this. Okay, y'all help me out with this one. The hijackers are alive and well, according to the chief of Japan's Democratic Party. He stated that 9/11 is a hoax.
Okay.
That guy, is he dead?
I don't
for
know.
saying that. That's the chief of Japan's Democratic Party. He stated 9/11 was a hoax, and all the hijackers are alive and well.
Wow.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So that's public comment he made. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Abdulaziz Al-Amari. Yeah. Okay, he was one of the hijackers. So I'm probably butchering his name. Sorry about that. If we have any Islamic people listening to the show today. Sorry, because I'm American and I haven't done my research on how to pronounce names very well.
But we're trying our best.
Yes. I'll just call him Amari, Al-Amari.
Okay.
He was on the hijacker list. He came forward to let everybody. Oh, this is it. Okay. So here's one of the guys that came forward to let everybody know that he was still alive and had not hijacked a plane. So at least 7 of the hijackers are still alive. The FBI say to this day they have not revised their list. So it's almost like these men that are alive, they claim that their identities were stolen. So do y'all know what that means?
That there were people posing as them.
Right. Somebody got a fake passport and said, I'm Al-Amari. Al-Amari has come forward and said, I'm Al-Amari.
Yeah.
That's my name. I didn't hijack a plane. That wasn't me.
I had my identity stolen.
So the FBI didn't revise the list. They kept the stolen identity on the list. Why didn't you find out who that was?
That's very interesting.
It's
Why,
weird.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know if this is important. It says at least 5 hijackers are reported as linked to U.S. military institutions. I don't know what that means, but I put it in here anyway.
Hijackers linked to U.S. institutions?
Yeah, military institutions.
Okay.
Okay, so
I mean, I could see it. I mean, we see, these guys having roommates with FBI informants,
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're obviously close to the FBI network in some way. Otherwise, how would this, FBI informant get involved in the first place? It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, that's all the bullet points I have on the hijackers. Anything y'all got from the 19 hijackers? That's very strange that some of these people had stolen identities and they didn't revise the list.
Yeah.
So, do you think that means when they show a picture of, Muhammad Atta, for example, that's a picture of the real Muhammad Atta, that person we see in the picture is not dead, they are alive, or that is what the actual hijacker looked like?
Right, and they just named him Muhammad.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, the only name that I got was Al-Amari. He's the only one that came forward. I don't know how many. Of course.
But if we take the Japan, the Japan officials' statement.
Yeah, he said
at face
all
value.
of them are alive and well.
Yeah.
So if one of them came forward and said, that's not me, my identity was stolen, but you got a guy that looks, he looks like this. What's his real name?
Right.
Who's to say the other? Nobody went forward and said, what was the guy's name? The
Muhammad Atta?
Yeah, nobody came forward and said, I'm Muhammad Atta, that he stole my identity.
Right.
So it wasn't all of them, but I do know at least one, Al-Amari, came forward and said, that wasn't me.
Right.
But that is very weird. Why wouldn't they investigate to see who that guy was? Well, he's vaporized.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
You can't get.
Can't
there's
even
nothing.
find the dental
There,
records.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on to the next highlighted word in the official report, which is Osama Bin Laden. If y'all don't have any objections.
No, I don't.
Let's do it. Let's get into Osama Bin Laden.
Okay. Osama Bin Laden is the other highlighted word in the official story. January 2001, the Bush administration orders the FBI and intel agencies to, quote, back off investigations involving the Bin Laden family, including 2 of Osama Bin Laden's relatives, Abdullah and Omar, who were living in Falls Church, Virginia, next to the CIA headquarters.
Man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So back off. Investigations on the Bin Laden family.
Right.
Okay. Dave Von Klist, he's the author, Confronting the Evidence. That's the author. He's the author of that book. He stated, no one has seen one piece of evidence that links Osama bin Laden directly to the planning stages of the 9/11 attack.
Right.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's.
So
Why? Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I was saying, why put his name
Yeah.
in the official story? That's why I'm using these highlighted words.
Yeah.
Why is that in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Based off what I was able to find in my research, in 2001, he officially denied responsibility for 9/11
Right.
on Al Jazeera television. And it wasn't until
yes.
2004, a video aired on Al Jazeera 3 days before the 2004 presidential election. And that was where he reportedly claims responsibility for the attack. So not until 2004 he's owning up to it.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Osama bin Laden. From what I was reading, the reason why I think, in my opinion, the reason why they used him as a scapegoat is just because they needed somebody that was, because, okay, so how did he get on the scene? Why him, right?
Well, you said he was already on a watch list.
He was already on a watch list.
So
okay.
Boogeyman.
Right. But why was he on a watch list?
Yeah, what has he done?
So, okay, so what happened?
was he the guy that orchestrated the first bombing?
So what had happened was, so when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979, right? They were there. We helped the Afghanistan people get liberated. So we fought with the freedom fighters, right? We fought with the freedom fighters for 10 years. Soviets pulled back 10 years later.
And that was Russia invasion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Soviets pulled back. Afghanistan was a country now that's free from Soviets. That left a power vacuum for all these different kind of criminal organizations. Osama bin Laden, he came from a rich family, construction family. They had a lot of money. He's well educated, smart guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he was quote unquote a Muslim, but he wasn't as devout, and he started to develop a deeper relationship in his religion. And when that happened, they started having this ideology that the West was bringing all this turmoil to Afghanistan, and that is our fault, the United States and Europe. So he started having this little group called Al Qaeda, and trying to say, hey, you know what? The reason for all our problems, the reason why Afghanistan is still in a mess, is because of the West and the United States. And so I remember watching this video of him quoting in the early 90s. He said, we're going to do something to the United States, but we don't know what. I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And so that there was a lot of planning. And so I think that was right before the bombing of the World Trade Center in 93.
Okay.
And he was linked to a lot of terrorist organizations that way.
Yep. I have what landed him on the FBI wanted list.
Oh, go.
So it's his connection to the 1998 bombings of the United States embassies in East Africa. So in Tanzania and Kenya. That's when he originally got on the FBI wanted list.
So he took credit.
So
for
what year was that?
1998.
98.
98. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So he took credit for bombing embassies.
Right.
And was he behind the 93?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know.
World Trade Center? Okay.
I don't think he was the mastermind of that one.
But that's what landed him on the watch list.
Yeah, 98. Yep.
Okay. Well, a video allegedly found in Afghanistan of bin Laden taking credit. So they found a video, allegedly.
I saw the video, yeah.
Of him taking credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, this is a quote from Dr. Abdel L.M. Husseini.
Yep.
I think I got through that good.
I think you did.
This is a quote. I have carefully examined the Pentagon's translation. This translation is very problematic at the most important places where it is help to prove the guilt of bin Laden, it is not identical with the Arabic.
Yeah, with the original Arabic.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the American translators who listened to the tapes and transcribed them apparently wrote a lot of things in that they wanted to hear, but that cannot be heard on the tape, no matter how many times you listen to it. That was a quote from Gernot Rotter. He's a professor of Islamic and Arabic studies at the Asian African Institute at the University of Hamburg.
Yep.
So very smart guy.
Hamburg.
He said there was a lot of things you couldn't hear on the tape that were put in with the translation.
Yep.
So that's weird, right?
Yeah.
So the subtitles, the English subtitles you're seeing are saying, I'm taking ownership for this, basically. But the Arabic itself, he's not actually saying that.
That's what I'm understanding from this this professor
That's what I understand as well.
of Islamic and Arabic studies.
Yep.
So he seems to know more than I would
Yeah, I mean,
about translating.
I can't say whether he's right or wrong.
I can't, you know, because
no
I can't translate it. I don't know what he said. So
Right, yeah.
I speak American.
Yeah. In 1976, Osama's older brother, Salim bin Laden, hired a man in Texas by the name of Jim Bath to handle, what a name, Jim Bath, to handle all of the investments in the U.S. for the bin Laden family.
He was cleaning the money.
Okay, so Jim Bath is a lifelong friend of guess who? George W. Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush made several trips to Saudi Arabia in 1998 and 2000 to meet with the bin Laden family on behalf of a company called the Carlyle Group. That I got that information from Michael Rubert on The Truth and Lies of 9/11. Just for anybody that's wondering, I'll put that in the resources. On the morning of 9/11, guess who else was having breakfast?
Tell us.
The Carlyle Group
Fascinating.
was having a conference in Washington, which included, in that meeting, Osama's older brother, Shafiq bin Laden.
The morning of September 11th, having breakfast?
Yes.
In Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yes.
Where,
What? What? I don't get it.
Was it at the same place like that?
Well, I don't know if they were having the
ISI guy.
I don't think so. I think it would have mentioned it. This says it's just having a conference in Washington.
Okay.
So it's just strange that Osama's older brother was there, and it was, you know, the Carlyle Group was there meeting with one of the bin Ladens.
so many coincidences.
Yeah.
There's two. Yeah, it's just like a thread. You know, the thread you keep pulling. Anyway. Well, the Carlyle Group is linked to the world's largest defense contractors.
Wait.
Is it getting spooky for you?
Military complex. I get it. Yeah.
World's largest defense contractors, which continue to reap massive profits off the post 9/11 war of terror and the Afghan wars.
How
So
about
somebody's making a lot of money
Oh, yeah.
because of what happened on 9/11, and the Carlyle Group is one of them. So there's a little thread of bin Laden that's in the official story right there. Anything you guys want to add about bin Laden? That was great what you said about how he got on the list.
I don't.
Is your mind reeling about
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. Going through this stuff, you run into information where people are talking about the bin Laden family having deep connections with, powerful people in America, CIA connections, FBI connections, things like that. So, I mean, this really ties into all that, the stuff
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that he was wealthy and a smart. From the pictures, you look, he's walking around with a cane like he's a sheep herder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's got the long dress going,
No, he was a
the
smart guy.
beard.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to, pull out one of the Gandalf pipes any minute, and then anyway, if y'all are good with the bin Laden, unless y'all got anything to add, I'll move on to the next highlighted word of the official story, which is the Pentagon.
Let's get to the Pentagon.
All right.
A lot of weird stuff happened at the Pentagon.
All right. So I'm just going to pose a question because this is what happened
For the listeners, or
for you,
For all of us.
and the listeners. Y'all can comment in the description below. I'm sorry, that's YouTube. Is it possible for a pilot to fly a 60-ton, 125-foot wide, 44-foot tall plane on the course that has been shown to us that hit the Pentagon? That's the question. Even a highly skilled pilot, is that possible? Go.
You first, Jason. Rip into that.
You know, I would say
I'm not a pilot, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's tough. Stayed on course.
And the question is for a skilled pilot, because
I'm just saying, is it possible for a pilot? And I would say you'd have to be skilled, because it was reported that the pilot maneuvered the plane into a 270-degree downward spiral.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if you put me behind.
What if it was just an accident and he's just fumbling and it just happened to do that?
He dropped his
you know
coffee.
what I'm saying?
He's like, oh, my coffee.
Right.
You know, is that possible?
I would say it's.
No, I don't think so.
It's infinitesimally small odds.
Wow, that word.
That happened.
Okay, I got you.
Because
so there's no way he could have went, I'm supposed to do this job. I'm not sure what I'm doing. And gosh, and it just happened to do what it did.
Right. So based off what I've seen, like what you're describing, this downward corkscrew that, takes out 9 light posts and then hits the Pentagon on the fly, doesn't hit the ground. I would say you would not only have to be an experienced pilot, I would say you'd probably have to be a world-class pilot. Yeah. And even at that, that's a tall order.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be Maverick.
I'll agree. Yeah, Maverick.
Yeah, you'd have to be Maverick.
Yes. I would agree with that.
Yeah, because, I mean, a Boeing 757, that's a huge plane, and, it's the maneuver that he was able to pull off. I mean, this guy, based off everyone at the flight school, said he sucked.
Yeah, what was his name?
His name
Hani Hanjour?
Yes. Yeah. Hani Hanjour. Everyone from like the flight schools that he attended was basically saying this guy couldn't even, pilot a Cessna. Like, this guy's horrible.
Yeah.
He can't do anything right.
So he apparently went to Arizona.
He can't do anything right.
Yeah.
He went to Arizona flight school, and some of the employees were on record quoting, "I am still to this day amazed he could have flown into the Pentagon. He could not fly at all."
Right. Yeah.
He was not a good pilot, and he said he didn't even care about the fact that he couldn't get through the course.
Yeah, and I think they were quoted that he didn't care about landing.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah, he's like, I don't care about
that's
landing.
just weird.
Yeah. It's weird that, so, I mean, I saw that too, obviously, and I see, it makes me think it's just so weird that he didn't care that he was any good at what he knew he was about to have to do, right? Like, he has to do this crazy maneuver in a gigantic plane that's, way, way bigger than the Cessna that he's practicing in. And he's just like, I don't really care that I'm not good at flying.
So, okay, let me just process this. Do we think he was in the cockpit flying?
I don't think so.
Based on what you're telling me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So why go to flight school at all?
If I'm
just for the cover of I am a pilot and I could do this?
Right, yeah. I mean, because he's part of the group, like with Mohammed Atta and all those guys. I think they, obviously flew it because it's a more direct path.
Yeah, flying straight into the yeah.
But I really don't think he did this maneuver because out of the group of pilots, it seems like he was the worst one, but he somehow managed to pull off the most incredible maneuver out of all of them.
Right.
So it just seems so unlikely to me.
Yeah, I don't think it was him.
You don't think it was him? So okay.
Yeah. And
but do we know the pilot's name?
Of which
of this one that hit the Pentagon?
Yeah, that was Hani Hanjour.
No. I'm talking about. Didn't you have a list of the? Oh, you only had a list of the names of the terrorists that were flying.
Not the.
You didn't have the real pilot.
Oh, the actual pilot. Oh no.
Okay,
I don't have that in my notes. I could look it up.
That was Flight 77.
Yes.
American Airline Flight 77. I was just wondering if I don't know. It's just strange. Have you guys the research you've got? Was there voice? I know that in the Shanksville we have a voice recorder, the black box, and we have data that shows what that plane was doing and voice recordings. Was there any voice recordings recovered from the Flight 77 that hit the Pentagon? That would show them talking to the tower, because sometimes you can hear them telling the people to sit down.
Yeah, 63 or 93. There was a lot more chatter.
Okay, but not from
but
this.
not from that one.
So we got nothing. Okay,
I didn't come across anything.
I didn't
either. That's why I was asking you guys.
I don't think there's any data that's helpful for the the Pentagon plane, basically. Like, we have very little to go off of on that.
All right.
Even in terms of like video footage, there's very, very little out there.
Last 2 points I'll make. Bodies were identified, but as it has been stated, very few items from the plane were recovered, like seats or engines. The reports are that the plane vaporized. So we talked about that earlier.
Again, they use the same.
Yeah, the vaporized. But they did say that bodies were identified, but very few items from the plane were recovered.
Okay.
And I've seen in my research planes of this size crashing, and there's tons of rubble, tons of plane parts.
Yeah, everything's there. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a smoking gun. Like, oh, look over here, I can see planes that have crashed in the similar fashion and didn't vaporize. What makes this one vaporize?
Right. Yep. And that makes, there's a million directions that the 9/11 conspiracies go into, and one of the conspiracies is that those planes, didn't crash into the Pentagon, basically, and didn't crash into that field. Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that because my next bullet point was there's over 80 recordings of the Pentagon strike that are currently being held to this day by the FBI. There is video footage.
Yeah.
But they have not released it.
Yeah, they're still holding on to it.
So because of that, it makes you think, okay, what did happen? And I've heard that, a missile.
Yeah, I've heard
there was a
missile.
So I don't know, to be honest with you, because we can only go from the official story that a plane took off from wherever it took off, and it was Flight 77.
Right.
They do have record of that, and they have record of its course, crashing into the Pentagon.
Okay.
And the type of, the crazy maneuver. That's the other thing. If they have, how do they know it did a 270 degrees downward spiral?
Yeah, I'm really
Was
not
that
sure.
from the flight data recorder?
Yeah, so they can.
So if the transponder was on, they could be able to tell
Yes.
that.
Okay.
I know some of these had transponders going off and transponders coming back on and all sorts of things.
Right.
So it would just be, if we're able to make that safe assumption that the transponder was on, you could definitely see them do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're definitely Flight 77 went into the Pentagon,
Right.
but we're doubtful that Hanier was behind the joystick. Did you call it the joystick?
Sure.
Okay.
That I'm very doubtful about that.
Okay.
Either that or he.
Based on our evidence of his flight schools,
Right. Yeah.
and the crazy thing to maneuver, it's okay. I'm down with that. Y'all got anything else to add about the Pentagon?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to go with the next word in the official story is Shanksville, which is our fourth plane. I got just 4 bullet points, not a lot, and we can talk about it. After the FBI found the black box, you could hear the person in control of the plane stating they had a bomb. This is what you're talking about. They actually had a voice on it. They had a bomb to sit down. Right before you heard the recording stop, you heard a scuffle. There was a scuffle. So it sounded like they were taking over the cockpit, or they just pushed the control down and made it go down. So the flight recorder actually had data that shows the plane was going back and forth, like to shake people off balance, to knock people off their feet. And then the plane took a nosedive and then completely inverted before it hit the ground.
So belly up.
Yep.
Okay.
There was a large crater in the earth with what seemed to be an outline of a plane, but there was no physical evidence of a plane being flown into the ground. So I'm not sure if any other commercial airline has the exact scenario of United Air Flight 93, but I can not find one airline in history that has vaporized and there's been no debris on the ground.
Yeah.
So this is the first. I think 9/11 has a lot of, there was no precedent before, and there never has been anything after. So this was a particular new thing that happened this day that never happened in history before and has never happened since. So that's why it's very weird that we're talking about it. Just some strange things. And another thing to point out, and this is why these pilots weren't as skilled, because if you've ever been in an airplane, which I have, if you go down and then back up, you feel like because gravity, you lift up. I mean, you're literally lifting up gravity and you cannot move. That would have been more of the thing to do if he was being ambushed by people instead of the shaky thing. Because all that did was just move people through the cabin. But if he would have went down and back, he would have got gravity on his side and those people wouldn't have taken over.
I heard some phone call recordings from a flight attendant that called their husband.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard some of that.
I heard that too. They were like, hey, they're taking over. We're going to take over the plane. And they were telling them that they had already hit buildings. So some of the people on these planes didn't know that buildings were being hit.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
wild.
Anything else in Shanksville? That's really all I got in Shanksville. It was very odd that they roped it off for miles. They found
debris like 6 miles away or something.
6 miles away. It was very strange how debris was that.
In just like tiny pieces too. Nothing.
Yeah,
big.
tiny pieces.
Like no engine, no like big fuselage pieces or anything like that. No.
Do you think an explosion before
happened?
An actual explosion
While they're in the
before
air?
Before it hit the ground would have blown parts away.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
That kind of matches that story. Why? Because if you went nose down, inverted, then hit the ground, you're not going to have debris
6 miles away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It would all be right there.
And it would kind of make sense with the vaporization thing. If a plane had blew up, you still got the thing coming down, and then it blows up from the jet fuel.
Mm-hmm.
You got a crater in the earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you got a ball of fire just going to the earth, and that's what you get is the crater instead of actual plane parts.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just theorizing here.
And the intended target of that one was people think either the U.S. Capitol or the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those two. I think that was the trajectory, which makes sense. 2 towers, the Pentagon, and let's take out the White House and the Capitol.
And still, no jets scrambled.
So we haven't got to that yet.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do y'all look? I only have 4 bullet points on NORAD, but I have a lot of bullet points on towers 1, 2, and 7. You want me to go ahead and hit NORAD first?
Yeah, so we can talk about NORAD and like the war games that were going on. We haven't really hit that yet, right?
And then we can go. Then I'll go into the towers. Let's see. NORAD. This is interesting here. If y'all got some more bullet points, y'all can go over NORAD. So in 2000, the year 2000, NORAD had 67 intercepts. 100% accurate.
Yep.
Intercept. I mean, done. This flawless.
Mm-hmm.
67 intercepts. That's amazing.
That's
And
amazing.
then 4 failures in one day.
Yes.
Yep.
That is strange. And so they were talking about war games that morning. There were so many exercising happening this morning of overlap of real world and exercise. It caused a failure. That's what they're saying, because I've heard communications over, I don't know who was talking. They were like, is this real world?
Yeah.
Right,
They're like, they were confused. Is this real? What are you talking about?
Yeah. I heard.
Are we really doing this?
Yeah, so basically, like, as the attacks were unfolding, air traffic controllers thought that what they were witnessing was all part of an exercise. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. On June 1st and June 2nd, 2001, concept proposal, Almagam Virgo 01 scenario. Okay, this is a scenario that they came up with. Counterterrorism, this exercise would focus on emerging threats, cruise missile defense, airborne terrorism, and weapons of mass destruction. So right there, anti-airborne terrorism. When was 9/11? It's 2001, right? So June 1st, they had this proposal and a scenario for this exact thing to happen.
Months later.
Yeah. So that's strange.
Yeah. And you have to like ask yourself, what are the chances that a massive hijacking war game is scheduled on the exact morning where that exact thing is taking place? So the air traffic controllers are like, oh, we don't know what's real and what's not.
Right.
That is very odd. Like, how long did they go? Like, how far was that out? Like, in June, did they go, hey, we're going to practice a scenario and we're going to do it on September 11th?
Right.
Was that, I mean, how far did that go out? You know, they had to plan for that stuff.
Yeah, they would. And it would be under, it would be very compartmentalized information. It would be on a need-to-know basis, because someone could exploit that the way that it was exploited. So, it provides the perfect necessary cover for the hijacked flights to actually reach their targets when otherwise, you talked about NORAD. They're, 100% accuracy rate at intercepting.
67 intercepts.
Yeah.
4 in one day.
Yeah.
Failed.
Yep.
Perfect smoke screen.
Well, I don't get it. And then I heard also that that I forgot the guy's name. Y'all have to help me research that. He was an Oriental guy that was there with Dick Cheney. As the plane was coming in, they were saying, "Hey, there's a plane." They see it. It's 50 miles out, and Dick Cheney told him to stand down and not scramble.
Yeah,
that's a fact on record.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
So that's weird. Why would you, like you said, why weren't the jets scrambled?
Then I read something after the fact that said they didn't want to possibly shoot down a civilian plane if they didn't know what was going on exactly. Which I understand if that's the first or second plane. I get it. Like, you know what? Second plane, I don't know what's going on. I know this first plane hit the first tower. Or I know the second plane might be coming, second to hit the second tower. But then the fourth plane, the third plane, you'd be like, okay, this is legit. Something's going on here.
We're under attack.
Right. There's something going on. So now it doesn't matter if there's civilians. Unfortunately, that's just how it works.
They're dying anyway.
Right. You have to take the lesser
You gotta.
evil.
Yes, you do. And I think for us, you've been in the military, but for us, I mean, we would just automatically think, scramble some jets. Let's get this taken care of. Especially Washington, D.C., our capital.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
Well, the thing is, I think that's what happened with Shanksville. They knew already that planes have hit the tower, so they were doomed anyway. So hey, let's go ahead and sacrifice my life to save others.
Yeah,
that's basically the concept. Why wouldn't they scramble before? Because 125 people died at the Pentagon that didn't have to if you would have shot the jet out of the air.
How far is Langley from?
No, there.
Like a mile away.
The other thing is when in 2000 NORAD had 67 intercepts. What does that actually mean, though? I don't know what that means. Intercepts? Does that mean you brought the plane down? Was it a hijacking incident? Did you shoot it down? I'd have to do some more research on what that meant. Intercept.
Yeah, I'm not exactly
What did you
sure.
do?
It could be you just got it back on course. Maybe if something was going off course and then you're just flying alongside it and in communication, then and then they get back on course, or then it could also be bringing it down if it's something like a hijacking.
You know what, guys? I think we're headed to a part 2. What I'm going to do is go ahead and cover. I got 3 bullet points on the 9/11 Commission, and then we can follow up on what other things we want to talk about. But I think we could go part 2 and then just talk about the towers themselves and the strange coincidences about how they were brought down, which is towers 1, 2, and 7.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So because I think there's a lot more to cover, I could go another 30 minutes.
We can go for
on the
another 2
towers.
hours.
We could easily go another 2 hours, I bet you.
So I'm going to just go ahead, and I got 3 bullet points, and we can interject. On the 9/11 Commission, this was on page 72. I already said this before. The U.S. government has not been able to determine the origin of the money used for 9/11 because they said the financing was practically insignificant. So that's a problem right there. What are y'all doing? The 9/11 Commission report stated they were unable to explain. This is in the book. Unable to explain the collapse of Building 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in there. We can't explain it, and we don't want to talk about it. That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
The other thing is when Bush and Cheney met with the 9/11 Commission, they did so only on their own terms. They appeared together, and they were not under oath.
Yep.
No press or family members were allowed to attend, and no recording of any kind was allowed when they went in front of the 9/11 Commission.
Wow.
Yep.
That's just strange.
It's very weird that they were not under oath and it wasn't.
And you're together.
Right. Very
And
weird.
when the press pressed him about it, get it, play on words there.
Yeah.
There was like, why are you not doing this? And it's like, well, because they got questions, they want answers, and we're there to answer them the best we can. Yeah, but why are you doing it separate? Why are you not doing it? Why are you doing it together? Because we're here to answer questions.
Right.
We want
Yeah.
to answer them the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to make sure their story lines up with each
Yeah,
other.
so
probably.
that is so strange. So that's the 9/11 Commission. Okay, I'm just going to give some final thoughts, and we could just do everybody give their own final thoughts. Military spending has increased by $100 billion in the U.S. since 9/11.
That's your tax dollars, guys.
Yep.
Nearly all of the Bill of Rights have been subverted
Yep.
since 9/11. 2, preemptive strikes. Why did I write this down weird? Okay. I'm going to say this, and I don't know what I meant to write down. Two preemptive, maybe I was saying wars. 2 preemptive wars was killing over 800,000 civilians have been waged. I must have been asleep when I wrote that down.
Okay.
Homeland Security was created along with the USA Patriot Act.
Yes.
So that's my final thoughts of things that's happened since 9/11 and kind of the aftermath.
Yeah, in part 2, we should really drill into, what all that really means. Not only should we cover like the towers going down, but also like what's in the Patriot Act.
Let's move forward. Yeah, a little bit.
How does that affect me? And all of these things, and some of the torture that was going on at Guantanamo Bay that got probably false confessions.
Oh no, probably he did get.
Yeah,
he
you'll say
gave a
yeah.
false confession. Because
you'll say
that's why we
anything.
went to Iraq
Yeah.
on a false confession.
Yeah.
On false information. That's the whole reason why we went to Iraq.
Oh,
Because
weapons of mass destruction?
Yes, because they said that we had. They said the dude that they were torturing said, "Hey, no. The only reason I told you that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction is because you guys were hurting me. So I just gave you what you wanted."
Yeah.
That is what is recorded.
Yeah, because you'll say anything to make the torture stop.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yes, seriously, you will.
you will.
And
100%.
why don't they realize that, though? Oh, I'm torturing this guy to get information. I got what I wanted. Oh, it must be true.
Yeah, they just wanted to get the answer.
Or is that just they wanted
hear.
well, maybe they were under orders to get this answer so they could go into the country and wage war.
Yeah, that's what I think.
With Saddam Hussein. And then we got over there and there was no weapons of mass destruction.
No.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Very weird. Yep. So looking forward to a part 2.
Oh, for sure.
Well, sorry guys, we didn't finish everything in part 1, but it's a lot to cover on 9/11. And I guess my favorite topic, and we didn't get into it, was the buildings collapsing.
Yeah.
So that's another show. And should we do it next week? We should do it
Let's
since
do
it's
it.
fresh.
Let's do it. Let's
You
do
know
an
what? Let's
immediate
do it.
episode 2.
Yeah, we'll do episode 2 next week. That way, because you've heard this one, you're ready for the next one, which
Absolutely.
is the towers collapsing.
I'm ready.
Which is crazy. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our handle is at Bottom of That. That's our handle on each one of those. Also, the website is www.bottomofthat.com, and you can contact us by email, truth@bottomofthat.com. Did I leave anything out, guys?
Nope, I think that's
Until
everything.
we get video. We're up on YouTube and Rumble. If you don't want to just listen to any of the podcast platforms, you can go there and it's not a video, but you can still listen to it in your car or whatever. But we're there on YouTube and Rumble as well. So until next week, tune in next week when you might hear Jason say,
Tom Cruise is a robot. Changed my mind.
what? Wait, when he runs?
Yeah, it's robotic. Have you not seen it?